News: Eat less to lose weight. Weight loss advice everywhere, and no idea which to take? A new study released Wednesday by the US Department of Agriculture looks at them all and recommends that if you want to reduce, you should reduce your consumption. The main thing in weight loss is calories in versus calories out, said Judith Stern, Professor of Nutrition and Internal Medicine at the University of California, Davis, who reviewed the government report. People go on fad diets and think, this one will be different. But it never is, and their weight rebounds and they move on to the next fad diet. Prompted by the proliferation of often conflicting diet advice, the USDA began to study popular diets in earnest last year. Surveys consistently show that most Americans are trying to lose or maintain weight, USDA said, pointing to an internet search that yielded more than 1,200 diet publications. The more negative and confused people feel about dietary recommendations, the more likely they are to eat a fat-laden diet that skimps on fruits and vegetables, researcher Ruth Patterson told the Associated Press earlier this month. Patterson and her colleagues at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle, Washington, had done a diet backlash study which was published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association. In Patterson's survey, more than 40% of people said they were tired of hearing about what they should or shouldn't eat. In the USDA study, which is being released publicly Thursday, the agency found that most Americans are ignoring standard advice to eat less and exercise more. Even when they do, the duration is often short. Diets studied included high fat and protein, low carbohydrate, moderate fat and low and very low fat models, which ranged from as high as 65% total calories from fat to less than 10%. A typical US diet of 2,200 calories daily includes 35% fat, 50% carbohydrates, and 15% protein. Diets that reduce caloric intake result in weight loss, the USDA study said. In the absence of physical activity, a diet that contains about 1,400 to 1,500 calories a day, regardless of composition, results in weight loss. It is important to note, however, that weight loss is not the same as weight maintenance. In other words, many popular diets can result in weight loss, but people often regain lost weight. When individuals consume food from all food groups, it is more likely that their diet will be nutritionally adequate, the USDA study said, warning, however, that poor food choice can have a negative impact on nutrient value. Other findings: high-fat, low-carbohydrate diets are low in vitamins E, A, thiamine, B6, folate, calcium, magnesium, iron, zinc, potassium, and fibre. Very low-fat diets are deficient in vitamin B12. High-protein diets that are low in carbohydrates can result in a condition called ketosis, which may lead to a significant increase in blood uric acid concentrations. Ketosis is often a consequence of diabetes and can be associated with kidney failure. Long-term compliance to any diet means that short-term weight loss has a chance to become long-term weight maintenance, the USDA said in its report. Other important factors in diet maintenance include psychological issues such as counselling, support, and self-awareness of the behavioural side of appetite. Such factors are more key to long-term compliance than the makeup of a particular diet, the government said. The report also called for controlled clinical trials of different diets to discern long-term effectiveness and health consequences. Prevention of weight gain and weight maintenance is an important goal, the USDA said. Scientifically validated, yet understandable information is clearly needed by millions of overweight and obese Americans who often find weight loss attainable, but maintaining weight loss nearly impossible. The USDA's report is scheduled for publication in the March-April issue of the journal Obesity Research. Colette Heimovitz, Director of Education and Research for Atkins Health and Medical Information Services, told the Associated Press that while she agreed more research is needed, the government is biased against programs like Robert Atkins. The popular Atkins diet promotes a high-fat, low-carbohydrate combination. The government is going to go out of their way to prove that their recommendations of the last 20 years are correct, she said. It's the same old story, it's the same old low-fat propaganda.
Eat more fish in a balanced diet. By now, most people know the standard dietary do's and don'ts. Do eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Don't eat too much fat. But the American Heart Association is including something new in its guidelines this year. The organisation is recommending people eat fish twice a week, especially fatty fish, such as salmon and tuna. They contain omega-3 fatty acids, which appear to protect against heart attacks. That's based on a lot of scientific evidence that suggests that people who consume at least one, preferably two, servings of fish a week have reduced incidence of cardiovascular disease and stroke, explained the AHA's Dr. Robert Eckel. An estimated 250,000 people die from sudden cardiac arrest each year in the United States, when the heart unexpectedly stops beating. The main author of the guidelines, Dr. Ronald M. Krauss of the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, said the revisions are meant to help Americans obtain an overall healthy eating pattern that helps them maintain the right cholesterol level, blood pressure, and weight. So, for the first time, the guidelines stress the importance of preventing obesity. We are emphasizing the positive message of what people should eat, said Krauss. In the past, he added, guidelines focused on the percent of calories as fat and amounts of cholesterol. Now the emphasis is off calculation and on eating a balanced diet. Some things in the guidelines haven't changed. The AHA still recommends eating 5 servings of fruits and vegetables and 6 servings of grain every day, as well as limiting fat, salt, cholesterol, and alcohol. But this year, the experts also weighed in on popular protein diets, concluding that there is no scientific proof that they work long-term. We raise great concern about temporary weight reductions that are rapid, particularly using diets that are potentially harmful long-term, said Eckel. Instead, the AHA advises dieters to drop pounds in the traditional way by reducing fat intake and aiming for a weight loss of 2 to 4 pounds each month. A second new recommendation targets people with a metabolic disorder called Syndrome X, which features symptoms including insulin resistance, glucose intolerance, and high blood pressure. It's unclear just how many people have the condition, but the association said they might consider eating more unsaturated fats found in vegetable and olive oils, nuts, and avocados. That recommendation is part of a new approach for the AHA. The group says despite general dietary recommendations for most people doctors still need to look at an individual's health history and genetic makeup before suggesting a diet plan.
Researchers say they have discovered the key component in red wine that explains the so-called French paradox, or the way the French can eat lots of cheese, buttery sauces and other rich foods and still suffer less heart disease than Americans. The explanation is pigments known as polyphenols. The pigments are not present in white wine or rosé, and they seem to be less potent when they are present in grape juice. Polyphenols inhibit the production of a peptide that contributes to hardening of the arteries, researchers report in Thursday's issue of the journal Nature. In laboratory dish experiments, polyphenols in red wine decreased the amount of peptide endolethin-1 produced by cells taken from the blood vessels of cows. Endolethin-1 is a potent blood vessel constrictor, and overproduction of the compound is thought to be a key factor in why arteries clog with fatty deposits, said the researchers from the William Harvey Research Institute at the London School of Medicine and Dentistry. In the study, the cow cells were exposed to extracts from 23 red wines, 4 white wines, 1 rosé, and 1 type of red grape juice. Researchers found the decrease in endolethin-1 levels was related to the amount of polyphenols in the wines. The white and rosé wines, which contain little or none of the pigment, had no effect on endolethin-1 levels. Red grape juice, which has plenty of the pigment, was markedly less potent in reducing endolethin-1 than red wine. The researchers said that suggests that something in the winemaking process changes the pigment's properties. Researchers believe the pigment comes from red wine skins. In white wine and rosé, the grape skins are taken out before fermentation. The type of grape also appeared to matter. 4 of the 6 most effective red wines used in the study were made entirely or partially from Cabernet Sauvignon grapes. The key message is moderate consumption of red wine is likely to prevent heart disease, but we have no evidence that white wine or rosé would have a similar benefit, said Roger Cordair, who led the study. The lower incidence of heart disease in France, despite a diet rich in butter and other fats, has led researchers to look to the consumption of red wine, another staple of the French diet. Other studies have shown red wine helps fight heart disease, and scientists have theorized that the benefits are caused by antioxidant compounds that prevent or slow the damaging effects of oxygen on the body. Cordair's research shows a different mechanism altogether. He said it is a more plausible explanation for the French paradox. David Klerfeld, a researcher at Wayne State University, who linked red wine and a reduction in heart disease in 1981, noted that the cells were tested in a dish and said it is unclear how polyphenols work in the body. However, he said the research opens another pathway that should be pursued. Is this the only mechanism, or is it a combination? There's not enough evidence that points us in any direction, Klerfeld said. We're basically playing spin the wine bottle here.
Turkey hotel hostages released. Up to 100 hostages held at a luxury Istanbul hotel have been freed unharmed after their pro-Chechen captors surrendered. The standoff, involving about 20 gunmen, had lasted nearly 12 hours before the hostage takers, armed with automatic rifles, surrendered on Monday morning. Police said they had encountered no resistance from the gunmen, and there were no reports of anybody being injured. The hostage takers had earlier identified themselves as Chechen rebels and told that they were demanding the United States use its influence to denounce Russia for its part in the war in Chechnya. The gunmen had taken control of the Swiss Hotel Bosphorus, amid a hail of bullets around 11:30 p.m. 2030 GMT on Sunday evening. Some hotel guests fled during the initial chaos, while local media said about 25 hostages had been released after the standoff began. A Caucasus group later said the hostage takers just wanted to attract the world's attention to the Chechen situation, which it said had been undermined during the past 2 months. The Turkish authorities are reported to have taken a firm stand during negotiations, while the Russian government had condemned the taking of hostages as a barbaric act. Russian authorities said the crime should not go unpunished. Interfax news agency said, quoting a high-ranking official, 4 Russians from the northwest of the country near the Finnish border had been among those taken hostage, and the Kremlin had been in constant contact with Turkish authorities during the siege, Russian officials added. Around 14 hostage takers were taken by bus to the police headquarters in Istanbul for questioning. The first round of talks had involved Istanbul's governor and police chief, but Turkey's interior minister, Saadettin Tantan, was in the hotel shortly before the end of the hostage situation. SR Group, which currently owns the hotel, said 650 guests were signed in and that it has sold the business to Singapore's Raffles Holdings. Hundreds of Turkish police, including snipers, had surrounded the hotel when the siege began, and about 6 ambulances had been parked outside. The gunmen who support the high-profile rebel Muhammed Tokcan had earlier held talks with the governor of Istanbul, Erol Çakır, and the chief of police. The hostages were mostly Western, including many Europeans and some Americans. Britain's Foreign Office confirmed on Monday that some Britons had been held hostage. A private Turkish television said 11 Swiss Air workers were among the hostages at the hotel which overlooks the Bosphorus. The gunmen had used hotel staff to take guests from their rooms and had brought them down to the lobby. Others were able to escape from the building and were taken to the Istanbul Hilton. Police said the gunmen were loyal to Tokcan, who led the hijacking of a passenger ship on the Black Sea in 1996. The hostage leader escaped from a Turkish jail in 1997 after serving less than a year of an 8-year sentence. He was rearrested in 1999, trying to leave Turkey for the Yugoslav province of Kosovo, and was released in December 2000 under a widespread prison amnesty. Scenes of panic. Earlier, witnesses described events surrounding the storming of the hotel. Hotel worker Alishan Ercan said he heard shots and saw 4 or 5 gunmen in the lobby as he ran from the hotel. Hotel guests were hiding between tables in the lobby, he said. A Belgian man visiting guests in the hotel told Reuters news agency, "I came into the lobby. Then there were 2 or 3 men who rushed in. They were dressed in black, and there were shots. I ran out immediately, and when I was standing in the garden, I heard more shots." Other witnesses told Turkish television that guests had screamed and ran as the attackers burst into the hotel. About 60 guests and 40 workers escaped the hotel, many leaving through fire exits, Anatolia news agency reported. It is the 4th such action carried out by pro-Chechen forces in Turkey during the past 2 years, including the taking of hostages on 2 separate Russian planes. Russian forces are currently engaged in their second major military assault on Chechnya, aiming to bring the rebel Caucasus region back under Moscow's control. The first Chechen conflict took place in 1994 to 1996. Turkey arrested and jailed the hijackers of the Avrasya ferry, but the majority of them subsequently escaped from prisons across Turkey. No one was hurt in the 4-day hijacking, despite threats to blow up the vessel. Sympathy for the Chechens exists among some in Turkey, as they share the same Islamic faith. Around 5 million Turks trace their roots to Caucasus areas, such as Chechnya, while an estimated 25,000 Chechens live in Istanbul and Western Turkey.
Madonna upsets German fans. Madonna fans in Germany have told of their anger after the opening dates of the singer's first European tour in 8 years were cancelled due to technical problems. The tour had been due to start in Cologne on June the 5th, with a second concert in the city the following day. But Marek Lieberberg, the pop star's German concert manager, said both shows had to be cancelled. The announcement left many German fans, who had paid prices of up to 250 marks, $110, infuriated. Many fans expressed their anger on Madonna's German fan club's website. "Madonna has one less fan now," one fan said. Another asked, "Does she really think she can treat her fans like this? I'm fed up with this, and I'm going to throw my Madonna CDs in the garbage," said another. Lieberberg gave no explanation of the nature of the technical problems that have hit the shows, but a spokesman for Lieberberg's agency said the 17,000 ticket holders would get their money back. The European leg of Madonna's world tour will now start in Barcelona on June the 9th. However, Germany will not miss out completely, as she is scheduled to hold 4 concerts in Berlin between June the 19th and the 23rd. The Drowned World Tour, Madonna's first roadshow since 1993's Girly Show, will also make European stops in Milan, Paris and London before moving to the United States in late July. Promoters from SFX Entertainment have promised the most extravagant stage spectacle of the singer's 17-year career. Last year, tickets changed hands for hundreds of dollars when Madonna played a one-off show at the Brixton Academy in South London, performing a handful of songs from her new album, Music. The performance attracted a record webcast audience of 9 million.
Disneyland accident. A large tree fell over Friday in a popular area of Disneyland and injured 23 park visitors, including 5 children, a park spokesman said. All the injuries appeared to be minor, said Disneyland spokesman Ray Gomez. Emergency crews from the Anaheim Fire Department responded to the scene and treated several of the injured there. 15 people were taken away in ambulances for treatment at area hospitals. According to one witness, the tree toppled over about 5:20 p.m. near the Mark Twain's riverboat landing in the Frontierland section of the park. Gomez said a vending card might have kept the damage from being much worse. The tree fell onto the cart, which cushioned the fall and might have prevented anyone from sustaining serious injuries, he said. Disney plans to investigate the cause of the tree's fall.
Space tourist. All vacations must end. including that of Dennis Tito, the first paying tourist to enjoy the sight of his home planet from beyond the confines of terrestrial gravity. The Californian tycoon was to depart the International Space Station late Saturday for Earth, where his trip sparked a spirited debate over whether the dangerous void of space was ready for hordes of well-heeled sightseers. After spending a week looking out of windows, listening to opera CDs and doing odd chores, the space tenderfoot was to leave shortly after 10 p.m. EDT with a pair of seasoned cosmonauts in an old Soyuz spacecraft docked to the station. The three should land in the barren steppes of Central Asia about 4 hours later. "I am enjoying this so much. If I were allowed, I would spend several months up here in space," Tito told Russian Mission Control on Friday. Despite misgivings from NASA that Tito should have waited to take his joyride until more construction was completed on the multi-billion-dollar complex, the trip ignited speculation that others among the jet set would set their sights higher than the atmosphere. Names that have surfaced include filmmaker James Cameron, an Oscar winner looking for the perfect camera angle to capture planet Earth. While praising Cameron for waiting for NASA's blessing to ride to the station, NASA chief Dan Goldin constantly took swipes at Tito before reporters and Congress, referring to the gigantic ego and space unworthiness of the Wall Street investor. "The current situation has put an incredible stress on the men and women of NASA," Goldin told a House subcommittee on Wednesday. "Mr. Tito does not realise the efforts of thousands of people, United States and Russia, who are working to protect his safety and the safety of everyone else." Floating upward more than 200 miles, such protests hardly penetrated the thick hull of the space complex, where Tito, a former NASA rocket scientist, enjoyed the congenial support of his Soyuz comrades, the courteous hospitality of 2 NASA astronauts living on Alpha, and a warm embrace when he met the station's Russian commander. Filled with the sounds of arias and overtures and the sights of passing continents and oceans, the serene world of citizen explorer Tito was interrupted only by an early bout of space nausea. And the occasional press conference, when he dismissed Goldin's assertion that his presence threatened the safety of the space pros. Rather, Tito, who is paying as much as $20 million for the round-trip vacation, was actually pitching in to help. "I've been shelling out food and doing rather menial tasks to assist the crew and give them more time for their other work," Tito said. Safety was the reason Tito, 60, could make the trip in the first place. He tagged along with the Russians Talgat Musabayev and Yuri Baturin, who delivered a fresh Soyuz escape capsule to Alpha last Monday. A new Soyuz is needed every 6 months because toxic fuels aboard the Russian ships degrade and possibly corrode engine parts over time. The old vessel had about 2 weeks left on its 200-day warranty. NASA, the leading partner among 16 nations piecing Alpha together, took umbrage at the fact that Moscow sold a seat on the Soyuz taxi flight to a non-professional. But the cash-strapped Russian space program, which controls the passenger list on the essential Soyuz mission, could continue its experiment in high-flying capitalism, especially considering that the ticket price covers the cost of the entire flight. Many will likely be ready to pay. "Before I flew to space, I had no idea how comfortable it would be," Tito said. "I think if a lot of people know what I now know, there would be a huge demand."
Music stars give major fundraising concerts. Usually, it's hard to get top pop acts to share the same bill unless it's an awards show. But this weekend, dozens of stars, including Paul McCartney, David Bowie, Michael Jackson, Tim McGraw, NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, plan to perform at 3 benefit concerts to raise money for the victims of the September 11 terrorist attacks, and raise morale too. It's everybody and anybody, People that you would never think would take the stage together are coming together for the first time, NSYNC's Lance Bass said Tuesday. Bass's group is performing at the United We Stand concert Sunday in Washington, an 8-hour marathon that also includes Jackson, the Backstreet Boys, Mariah Carey, Destiny's Child, Sean P. Diddy Coombs, and others. Tickets for the RFK Stadium event ranged from $25 to $75 and have sold out, officials said, raising approximately $2 million. Parts of the show will likely be aired later on television. Also on Sunday, McGraw, Sarah Evans, Trisha Yearwood, Brooks and Dunn, and other country stars take part in a 2.5-hour concert at the 13,000-seat Gaylord Entertainment Center in Nashville, Tennessee, to be aired live on the CMT cable network and on radio stations across the nation. Tickets range from $25 to $1,000 and are almost sold out. This is what our talent is, and our chance to make some money for these people and make a difference in what's going on, McGraw said. The weekend concerts kick off Saturday with the Concert for New York City at Madison Square Garden. Along with the Backstreet Boys and Destiny's Child, that event features McCartney, Bowie, Elton John, Eric Clapton, Billy Joel, U2's Bono, Mark Anthony, and others. Tickets range from $200 to $5,000 and were still available. The 5-hour show will be aired live on VH1 without commercials and on the radio. Columbia Records plans to release a double-disc CD from the concert, with most proceeds going to charity. Viewers can donate. The concerts aired on VH1 and CMT will flash a telephone number that viewers can call to donate money. Radio listeners also will be provided with a number to call. Clear Channel Entertainment, which owns 135 entertainment venues and is the nation's dominant concert promoter, is producing or helping to produce all 3 concerts. Chief Operating Officer Steve Smith said they were relatively easy to pull together quickly. The artist community has been universally responsive to us, Smith said. We have bands at all of these events and have turned their schedules upside down in order to be able to be there, if just for a few minutes. Bass was home in Orlando, Florida, when he watched the September 11 events unfold on television. He later visited the rubble where the World Trade Center stood. McGraw was taking his children to school in Nashville when he heard about the attacks on the radio. He drove to the nearest home where he knew somebody, the house of country star Martina McBride, and saw the destruction on television. This is one time to use your profile to help something, to use it unabashedly almost, to get things done, McGraw said of the benefit concerts. He concluded that some fans might be reluctant to attend major events these days, but said it was necessary to resume activities such as concert going. You just have to be normal. Be as normal as you can and just keep your eyes open, he said. Other concerts scheduled. The concerts come less than a month after the America, A Tribute to Heroes telethon, featuring performances by many top acts, raised approximately $150 million. Many smaller benefit concerts are also planned around the country. Bruce Springsteen is headlining a benefit performance Friday in New Jersey. For example, NSYNC plans one next month in Miami, and Grand Ole Opry plans a show in November. Smith said there is no target figure for how much this weekend's concerts could raise. These events have been assembled in a matter of days, where stadium festivals like these would normally take months. So we're going to be happy with what we accomplish, he said.
Walt Disney remembered on 100th birthday. The father of Donald Duck, Mickey Mouse and the modern theme park was being remembered from Orlando to Anaheim in celebrations recognising the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney's birth. Scheduled events at Walt Disney World in Florida included the unveiling of a 25-foot-high image of Disney made of cakes, a parade, fireworks and an appearance by Mary Poppins star Julie Andrews. Admirers who planned to rededicate a statue of Disney and Mickey Mouse at Disneyland in California, an evening tribute in Beverly Hills, organised by the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences, was expected to feature rare film clips and home movies. What Dad wanted to do was entertain people and make them laugh. That was always his focus, to bring fun and to bring joy, said his daughter Diane Disney Miller, 67. A significant shaping force. In Richard Schickel's 1968 book, The Disney Version, the Time magazine film reviewer called Disney one of the most significant shaping forces in American culture in the middle third of the century. Disney, who died of lung cancer in 1966, first gained Hollywood's attention in 1933 with Steamboat Willie, an animated short featuring a mouse that would come to symbolise the Disney Empire. His breakthrough came with his now classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length colour animated feature and the first commercially successful film of its kind. More memorable features would follow, including Bambi, Lady and the Tramp and Fantasia. Disney would eventually branch off into other entertainment ventures, including a weekly television show that he hosted and his Disneyland theme park, which opened in 1955. The planning for Disney World began before his death. His empire has since added parks in France and Japan and now includes ABC and ESPN hit Broadway musicals like The Lion King and a cruise ship division. For many years, the Disney name was associated with wholesome family entertainment. Disneyland was dubbed the happiest place on earth. Late brother Roy Disney recalled Walt Disney's remarks to an employee on the Disneyland Railroad in the 1950s. "We're selling happiness," he reportedly said. "We don't like glum pussies or sour faces."
Living in shadow of a volcano. Lava exploding from Mount Etna is providing a spectacular sight for the residents of nearby towns every night. The volcano on the Italian island of Sicily has been increasingly active during the past week, spewing lava, ash and rock from several fissures. Rivers of lava have flowed down Mount Etna, threatening nearby villages despite thousands of gallons of water being dropped by air to try to cool the advancing lava. At night time, it's a wonderful show, even if it's dangerous and causing a lot of damage, 21-year-old American Amelia Calaciore told. The eruption has caused $3.1 million in damage, including losses in tourism and agriculture, the local government said. Calaciore, a student at University of Catania, near the foot of Mount Etna, said, "It really is something. You have to see it, because it's hard to describe. The lava show is spectacular nature. Her home, an hour from Catania, is covered in ash, but she has had no problems breathing. The sky is grey, there is ash everywhere, she said. Ash from Europe's most active volcano has covered the streets of Catania, but the airport reopened on Tuesday after strong winds swept the black dust off the runway. In villages closer to the volcano, people protect themselves from the ash with umbrellas as small earthquakes rumble intermittently. As Etna comes to life every few months, Calaciore said she had not been worried about the latest bout of activity. We live with it. People are used to it. They're not afraid of it, she said. Catania taxi driver Mario Laudani was more worried, saying, I've seen various eruptions, and I love Mount Etna, but this time I'm a little concerned, as we just don't know what will happen. Another Italian, Pippo Vassallo, told Reuters news agency, we live in fire. That's our land, so we can't be impressed by this latest activity. Whoever is afraid is lost. A newlywed couple, having their wedding pictures taken in the city's streets, said they had not even thought about the eruption. The last major eruption of Mount Etna, which towers 10,860 feet above Sicily, was in 1992. The director of the National Civil Protection Force, Franco Barberi, said the volcano needed close monitoring, particularly the mouth threatening the Sapienza Refuge, a tourist destination on the side of the mountain. A state of emergency remains in the region, with dozens of families on standby to be evacuated from the village of Nicolosi.
IMF ready for Brazil and Argentina rescues. The International Monetary Fund said today that it was prepared to lend $15 billion to Brazil and speed financial aid for Argentina as concerns rose that the two nations' financial problems had worsened and begun to spread through Latin America. The long-term aid packages announced this afternoon came with the blessing of the Bush administration, which has supported several large financial rescues, even though administration officials have often said they intend to avoid international bailouts like those arranged in the Clinton administration. Troubles in Argentina, Brazil and other recent aid recipient Turkey are reminiscent of the financial contagion that spread throughout the developing world in the late 1990s. Although some economists say the situation is less serious this time, emerging markets are finding it difficult to stoke growth through exports or attract high levels of foreign investment, with the United States, Europe and Japan all suffering slow growth or outright recession. Officials of the Monetary Fund and the Bush administration have said they are especially wary about the continued slide of Argentina, which received hefty multilateral loans that totaled $13.7 billion late last year, but failed to break out of a 3-year-old recession. Investors are worried that Buenos Aires will default on its $128 billion debt. Neighbouring Brazil, though by most measures economically healthier, has seen its currency, the real, fall sharply against the dollar, making its sizable foreign debt harder to repay and leading the central bank to raise interest rates. The managing director of the IMF, Horst Kohler, said the fund was ready to accelerate $1.2 billion in aid to Argentina. The money was already included in the earlier aid package, but by changing the terms of the package and speeding up the loan, the fund and the United States effectively acknowledge that the situation there has deteriorated. The commitment to provide the $15 billion line of credit to Brazil, a surprise, represents the second time in 3 years that Brazil has successfully appealed for a multi-year emergency programme. Mr. Kohler said Brazil could begin receiving loans next month, with the first instalment totalling $4.6 billion. The Monetary Fund organised a $41 billion rescue package for Brazil in late 1998. Until recently, that programme had been viewed as a success, and it had been scheduled to end this year. But a team of Brazilian economic officials has been in Washington for more than a week, meeting with officials from the Monetary Fund, the World Bank and the United States Treasury Department to discuss ways to extend the programme. Administration officials appeared to be fully supporting the new packages. President Bush discussed Latin American problems today with Prime Minister Tony Blair of Britain and Prime Minister José María Aznar of Spain, the White House said. The administration sent Treasury Undersecretary John Taylor to Buenos Aires for consultations. In a statement late today, Mr. Taylor called his talks fruitful and detailed. I was very happy to hear that the IMF has recommended an accelerated disbursement to Argentina, he said. As recently as last month, however, administration officials had expressed reluctance to provide more aid. Condoleezza Rice, the National Security Advisor, said Argentina needed to take steps domestically to improve its economy, viewed at the time as a rejection of the request for fresh loans. The Brazil package is the largest single emergency aid plan approved in the Bush administration. It may help restore investor confidence there when markets reopen on Monday. Such multilateral aid is intended to instill faith that the country will not default on its foreign debt, and officials obviously hope that sentiment will change so that Brazil will not be forced to draw on the aid. The Brazilian authorities are strengthening fiscal and monetary policies and implementing their structural reform agenda in the face of a difficult external environment, Mr. Koller said. Argentina's problems are more entrenched. It has not adhered fully to the terms of the aid package that it received late last year, and it shows few signs of being able to meet its commitments, including a promise to eliminate its budget deficit. But the pressure to continue lending is intense, in part because of the threat that a sudden default would send shockwaves through Brazil and other neighbours. Argentina has pushed the fund to provide an additional $6 billion in loans. It received just a pledge to speed up the commitment loans. That violates an unwritten rule of international bailouts, that they are of limited use unless they give the markets a pleasant surprise. While the aid package was smaller than Argentina had wanted, the White House said Mr. Bush endorsed the Argentinian government's austerity programs, calling it the best way to stabilize the nation's economy.
Power of the digital revolution. There's no better way to preserve life's precious memories than recording them on video. For more than 20 years now, the video camcorder has revolutionized the way we capture images of the things we value most, children and family, life's milestones, everyday and special occasions. The video camcorder made home movie film obsolete in a matter of a few short years. Video was easy to use, tape was inexpensive and versatile, and suddenly there was no excuse for not preserving those slices of life that come and go so quickly. New video revolution. Now, the digital age is creating another revolution in the way we record the times of our lives. Shooting in digital means you can throw away those clunky videotapes. No more rewinding or fast-forwarding, and images won't deteriorate even after many years of storage. The video you shoot today will be just as crisp and sharp years from now, thanks to the technological breakthrough of digital. With Panasonic's DVD camcorder, you can capture 60 minutes of MPEG-2 video in fine mode, high resolution, or about 120 minutes in standard mode. Plus, the DVD camcorder doubles as a digital camera, allowing you to snap 1.998 JPEG still photos that will amaze you with their crisp clarity and brilliant colours. Images never fade because they are safely stored and housed on compact 8cm 2.8 GB DVD RAM discs. High resolution images. The Panasonic VDR M10 utilizes an amazing 720,000 pixel effective resolution for video and about 1 million pixel effective resolution for still photography, capturing vivid images in true-to-life colours. The resulting clarity is truly stunning. The VDR M10 features a built-in 1.1 megapixel CCD, or charged coupling device, which offers the highest resolution images available in the industry today. And because recording is done on DVD, consistent top-range video quality is assured, even with repeated playbacks and long storage periods. No more rewinding. Thanks to the VDR M10's impressive disc navigation function, there's no need ever again to spend precious moments searching for the right place on the tape. Disc navigation displays the initial image of each recorded scene as a handy thumbnail index on the camera's easy-to-view 3.5-inch LCD monitor. This makes it easy to know what is recorded on the disc and enables users to quickly search for images they want to watch or edit. Up to 99 playlists can be created or stored in memory, making playback quick and easy. Latest camcorder technology. The VDR M10 offers state-of-the-art features formerly available only to commercial videographers. It comes standard with a 12 times optical zoom and a 48 times digital zoom for capturing close-up action, a 2-hour battery, an AC adapter, and a USB cable are included. Why wait to capture your family and memories with cutting-edge technology? Try the Panasonic VDR M10 today.
How to get paid more. Get paid more and promoted faster. The title alone tells you that this book's author is one right-thinking dude. But the good news is that Brian Tracy hasn't turned out book number 6523 of the get-rich-quick variety. Instead of telling readers what they might want to hear, just 5 minutes of your free time per day, Tracy tells us what we need to hear. Success comes from mapping out where you want to go and committing to doing what's required to get there. If you want to rise to the top while never budging from a bar stool in your break room, if you're looking for the secret to success in long lunches, if you're one of those folks who loves to say you're not going to devote an extra minute to your career beyond what you're paid to do, then you won't like this one. This isn't armchair careerism. In the second sentence of his introduction, Tracy makes it clear to whom he's talking in this book. There have never been more opportunities and possibilities for ambitious people to achieve their career and life goals than exist today. Got it? This book is for ambitious people. No apologies. No instruction to burn yourself out either. But in Chapter 6, for example, Tracy is going to suggest that you start earlier, work harder, and stay later. 2 extra hours of productive work each day is all you really need to invest to become one of the most valuable and effective people in your company, he writes. You can create this extra 2 hours by coming in an hour earlier and staying 1 hour later. This will expand your day slightly, but it will increase your career tremendously. Of course, popular thinking, more accurately popular whining, loves to perpetuate the myth of no pain, big gain. You shouldn't have to give up any of your own time to further your career. You're owed all good things simply for punching in and out right on time and never give your company an even break. Tracy has the guts to point out that that's rubbish. The top 10% of money earners in America, he writes, work 50 hours or more per week. The highest paid 1% of Americans work an average of 56 hours per week, and more importantly, they work. They do not waste time. They arrive at work early, and they immediately start on their most important tasks. They work steadily throughout the day. They are friendly, but they do not spend the day making small talk or engaging in idle chit-chat with their co-workers. It would have been decent for Tracy to attribute these figures about top earners and the lengths of their work weeks to one survey or another, but they tend to echo the sort of numbers we're seeing in other literature these days. The bottom line when it comes to getting what you pay for is that you should plan to pay for it. And if you can't understand the rationale of giving some extra to your career to make it better, then you're not likely someone for whom career is that important a part of life. Nothing wrong with that. But as Tracy keeps urging to his reader, make a choice. Some of the other 20 points are more predictable. For example, there's Chapter 4, Develop a Positive Attitude. Thanks, Dale Carnegie. And there's Chapter 10, Think About the Future. It's pretty hard to run around in current society without having heard the wisdom of thinking forward, keeping your eye on the prize or the brass ring or the big chalupa that someday might just be dropped in front of you. What are the odds? But then Tracy throws in some gratifyingly rare suggestions, and each is handled in a tidy, concise chapter that's short enough to be read as a daily meditation. That is not to say that the rarer entries are out of nowhere surprises, but that they can give an ambitious careerist the aha moment, as some psychologists call a quick and useful little epiphany. Here's one. Focus on the bottom line. Have you ever gotten into a water cooler discussion with co-workers about various changes going on in your offices and discovered that someone there had never realised the profit motive behind some of those developments? It's pretty shocking, isn't it? Lots of labourers in our corporate fields never quite get hold of the fact that what they're harvesting is money. At whatever level you function in your organisation, look around and see where you fit in financially. Tracy tells you in Chapter 19 that the only two ways to increase profitability are to increase revenues by producing more, or to decrease the costs of producing the products or services at hand. The lifeblood of a business is sales and cash flow, Tracy writes in Chapter 19's Take Action Now conclusion. Study your business closely and determine how you could increase sales or cash flow in some way. One good idea could change your career. It's too bad about those Take Action Now boxes, by the way, but they're the book's only concession to the current for dummies style of cluttering up how-to books with sayings in the margins, nuggets of wisdom in 14 typefaces, and even pictures of prancing cartoon characters, usually used to distract you from the fact that you're reading banal material. In Chapter 11, Focus on Your Goals, Tracy does encourage you to write down what you want in your career and how you plan to get there. But this book is mercifully free of the workbook pages, the self-tests you fill out and send in like something off a cereal box, the true or false quizzes, and the colouring contests. You can read it without a writing implement in your hand. Tracy needs no such farce to put across his points, which include: ask for what you want. And he's talking money as well as other things. Choose the right boss. That one may surprise people who tend to think that bosses are determined by fate at best and by the parent company at worst. But Tracy tells you that, at least at the point of a job search, you should audition your potential bosses. When you see your boss coming, he writes, You should feel confident and happy rather than nervous or insecure. Perhaps the best measure of all is that when you are working with the right boss at the right job, you feel happy and relaxed. You laugh a lot at work, you enjoy yourself, and you feel valuable and important as an employee and as a person. Create a successful image. Sound like the oldest dress for success stuff in the world? Well, pretty much it is. But if you doubt the viability of this concept, try doing a little of your weekend shopping in a sharp work clothes. You know, those Saturday errands you usually run in a t-shirt and jeans. Run them in a necktie or a business skirt. You may be surprised how much better service and attention you get from clerks, other shoppers, service people. Much to the disappointment of many, particularly in the comfy-clad IT sector, image counts, and so does this old advice. Push to the front. Now, we're talking real nerve. Tracy isn't afraid to write. You are in competition with everyone else who wants to be paid more and promoted faster, whether you like it or not. A race is on and you are in it. Your job is to move yourself into the lead and then figure out how to move ahead faster than the other people around you. Doesn't it feel great to find somebody openly discussing gangway coming through cordial but determined ambition? One more with a bit of detail. Develop positive personal power. It's a moment about charisma here, basically. To have power means that you have the ability to determine what people do and how money is spent. With power, you can make decisions or alter decisions that have been made by other people. The more you acquire and use your power in a positive and constructive way, the more power you will attract to you. You will definitely be paid more and promoted faster. And that's what this book is here for. A fast read, a clean presentation. Get Paid More is as straight ahead on its pages as it is in the title. There aren't too many jokes. This is a serious set of suggestions for people who are serious about moving their careers forward. None of the advice is earth-shaking, but it works like fine, no-frills roadmap to remind you of the lay of the land and the route you're taking. Good journey. Brian Tracy's 21 points from Get Paid More and Promoted Faster. 1. Decide exactly what you want. 2. Select the right company. 3. Choose the right boss. 4. Develop a positive attitude. 5. Create a successful image. 6. Start earlier, work harder, and stay later. 7. Push to the front. 8. Ask for what you want. 9. Guard your integrity as a sacred thing. 10. Think about the future. 11. Focus on your goals. 12. Concentrate on results. 13. Be a problem solver. 14. Unlock your inborn creativity. 15. Put people first in everything. 16. Invest in yourself continually. 17. Commit to excellence. 18. Concentrate on the customer. 19. Focus on the bottom line. 20. Develop positive personal power. 21. Get the job done fast.
2002 FIFA World Cup. Turkey takes World Cup third place. Turkey 3, 2 Korea Republic. Hakan Şükür scored the fastest opening goal in World Cup history in just 11 seconds and combined with İlhan Mansız on 2 others Saturday as Turkey beat co-host South Korea 3-2 to clinch third place. The 30-year-old Parma forward hadn't scored in Turkey's 6 previous matches here and couldn't believe his luck when rival skipper Hong Myung-bo's attempted pass-back for his goalkeeper set him up for a 1-1 chance against Lee Woon-jae. Shukur slotted a right-foot shot wide of the Korean keeper to beat the previous record of 15 seconds held by Backlash in the former Czechoslovakia's first-round match against Mexico in 1962. Korean midfielder Lee Ul-yong levelled at 1-1 with a curling 25-metre-yard free kick in the 9th minute that shaved the inside of Rushtu Rechber's left post and sent almost 65,000 red-clad fans at Daegu's World Cup stadium wild. But Manses, recalled to replace injured Galatasaray striker Hasan Şaş, scored his second and third goals of the tournament to give Turkey a 2-goal buffer after 32 minutes. The 26-year-old Beşiktaş forward, who went on as a replacement in the quarter-finals and drilled the golden goal winner against Senegal, took a neat inside pass from Shukur and buried a left-foot shot in the 13th minute. On a counter-attack, almost 20 minutes later, Shukur got 2 touches, including the last pass, before Manses chipped over the onrushing Korean keeper. South Korea scored a late consolation goal when Song Chong-guk fired a deflected shot past Rechber to make it 3-2 in the final seconds of the game. The Turkish players, dressed in white shirts and shorts, and Korean players, dressed in red shirts, linked arms in one corner of the pitch and bowed to the crowd at full time. The Turks waved their national flags over their heads, and some, pulling red Korean tops over their shirts, set off on a victory lap as the crowd chanted Daehanminguk, or Republic of Korea. The number 3 versus number 4 match was a letdown in France 4 years ago, with a disheartened Dutch team showing little lustre following its narrow semi-final loss to Brazil and going down 2-1 to a pumped Croatian lineup. But there was more at stake in this bronze medal match, with both nations into the final 4 for the first time after unlucky runs, which featured end-to-end attack and a glut of shots on goal. Turkey, in its first appearance in soccer's showpiece since 1954, earned 3rd place and enhanced its reputation as an emerging European power. The co-hosts had chances when Ahn Jung-hwan shaped for a drive with his left foot and then spun and fired a right foot shot which Rechbar tipped over the crossbar in the 21st minute. Park Ji-sung's floating cross into the area was intercepted by Rechbar in the 30th minute, and Park was involved again in the 40th minute when Ahn found the back of the net but was called back because Lee Jung-soo was offside. Park's left foot drive sailed over the crossbar in the 51st minute, and Lee Ul-yong fired a shot between 2 defenders 2 minutes later, but Rechber was in perfect position for a clean save. With 10 minutes to go, Ahn back-heeled for Lee Chong-soo, but the 21-year-old midfielder mistimed his shot and presented Rechber with a routine save. Ahn rifled a shot at goal, which deflected off Özcan's back, and Da Du-ri's powerful drive from the right side was gathered by the Turkish keeper at the second grab. The Turks had chances in the second half, Manses spoiling one for Ergun Penbe in the 55th minute when he played at a ball with his back to goal, and then Tugay Kerimolu's floating free kick from the left side was easily saved by Lee 10 minutes later. Turkey's only losses were to Brazil, including a 2-1 defeat in the first round and a 1-0 semi-final loss on Wednesday, and had wins over co-host Japan and Senegal in the knockout phase. South Korea hadn't won a match in 5 previous trips to the finals before toppling Poland, Portugal, Italy and Spain en route to the semi-finals, where its sparkling run ended on a 1-0 loss to Germany. In the only previous World Cup head-to-head, Turkey thrashed South Korea 7-0 at Geneva, Switzerland in 1954.